Hi there, welcome to Wardrobe School. I'm Vanya. In this video, I'm sharing the process I do to make an embroidery tank top from scratch. So, I do a lot of free motion embroidery. It's all done on a sewing machine. And I like to make clothes as well. I'm a clothing maker. So I am gonna show you how I do a tank top that's, embroidered on the collar. Cutwork embroidery right on the edge of the collar, the neckline of the shirt. And so, the video is a little chaotic. I shot in different parts. Don't mind my crazy hair. I was just swimming and then I came into the studio to do the video. But I think you can learn a few things and it might sparkle some creativity in you, so then you might try as well, okay? And so here you go. Okay, so here's the plan. And here's what I've done so far, right? So I have this piece that is the test. I don't have my bases here, so I draft a base real quick and then I tested it. So this is the pattern for the base, very simple, just like a blouse, like a bodice sloper sort of, but simple with no darts, so front and back. Then I tested, I have like many yards of this fabric. It's like some cotton fabric that I got and it fitted me really well. And so after that, I turned that pattern into a tank top, right? Just a little adaptation. And now I have the tank top pattern, okay? And the idea is that I'm gonna use this to cut this linen and I'm gonna make this little tank top with the embroidery on the collar, right? But before, I wanna test it, because you never know, this, linen is expensive. That one, I found at the store. I was at the store. The linen is super expensive, but then there was a piece on the floor, and I talked the woman out, and she made it for a good price for me. But it's still a lot of money, so I'm not gonna cut the linen right away because what if it doesn't work, right? And so I have this other fabric here that is, I think it's cotton as well. It's like some light cotton. I forgot where I got this. Probably like some scrap from some, like some leftover. And so because I have more of these and I don't even remember how much I paid for, I'm gonna test it on this, especially because having a tank top, a black tank top is great. And so that's the plan, okay? For that, I'm gonna iron this. I have here my iron. I think I'm just gonna take one piece while the iron warms up. And so I'm gonna just take a piece and use that piece because I don't need this whole thing, right? Otherwise it's like bothering me. So let's see if, I'm gonna see if like just one length is enough. And it is, so I can just take one part here. And then I'll press that part and it's enough for me to do my test, right? I'll throw this one there and then press. I just like press, if you watch my videos, you know that the iron is very important. It's as important as the sewing machine when you're sewing stuff. And so I'm always using the iron. But in this case, I am ironing because if it's wrinkled, it's not precise, right? You can't really, especially for a test. I mean, for everything. But ideally, you would wash this as well, but I didn't. But, if it shrinks a little, it's okay because it's a little long on me. The base at least is. So I'm just gonna press it and then trace the blouse. Then I'll show you the table view so you can see, okay? So there's a trick for this, but it's just for the front because it's where the embroidery is gonna go. Although now we're not going to embroider this, it's just a test, but it's good to remember. And so instead of starting from the front, I'm just gonna cut the back because the back doesn't have embroidery unless I wanna put embroidery later. But so far I didn't want to. So, just tracing and cutting. I actually cut the fabric in two. And I folded the grain line instead of being like a long grain line, like a cross, because it would fit better. I should have cut the fabric longer, but that's okay. And I'm gonna use pinky shears. it is, the back. Now let's cut the front, and the front is which is gonna be tricky because we have to leave some space so I can embroider, right? So basically with the front, I'm just gonna go as further as possible here on the hem, because I'm not gonna cut this part. I'm just gonna trace it. And look, I trace it. Ideally, this pattern would be complete, not just half, right? But I don't have paper enough here. So I'm just gonna do it with the fabric. Let's see. So I wanna mark the center here and the center by the hem. It's traced, so there it is. Now I have to open. And then trace the other side. Just mark it here, look exactly where it was. And you know, if it's something more important, like a blazer or something, you don't do that, right? It has to be more accurate. But for a tank top, it's good enough. And there it is, right? Look, let me turn here so you can see. And so if I was to embroider here, then I would place the embroider around here, place the hoop, do the embroidery. I might actually do that just to test, and then test the tank top to sew. Maybe I'll just do a simple embroidery now to see how it looks, and then sew the tank top to see if it fits me. Then I can go for the linen fabric. And look, obviously I couldn't help myself and end up embroidering and doing, you know, here I did cording, and so I teach that in my course inside of my community. The link is below if you want to learn. There's a whole tutorial on that. But so here's the test, which is gonna turn into something else. Now I can cut it. And you know, it's always good to do tests because now I realize the mistakes I made, and for the final piece I won't make the same mistakes, you know. So I'm not being too precious because it's a test, although I'm liking it. So I did the blue. The design is just a picture that I took today when I was going to get food. And there's this beautiful plant. So I took the picture and then I traced this little design here, just a few leaves. So then I could embroider to test this, okay? But it can be any design, any. Look, so that is the neckline. Here, there's the neckline, right? So now I can just cut it and sew together and see if the tank top fits me, how it fits. And voila, look, I'm lazy, so I didn't do the hemming here, which I should, but the tank top is together. And so now I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go eat and sleep, and tomorrow I'll cut the linen and we try and see. I'm gonna try now because I don't have a mirror here, so I'm gonna look in the mirror, see if there's any adjustments I have to do to the pattern, and how here I had to do a trick because I realized I'll explain to you later what happened when we trace the final one. I'll explain what it is. But so far I'm liking it. I like the design. So if the fit doesn't work well, I'll just, you know, alter the pattern a little bit and do something similar to that. All right, so it has been a week. I didn't do the next day like I promised because so much happened. But now next we're gonna need, so the tank top fits, it's good, you know, the test, the black one. Now I have the pattern. I have the design, the embroidery design, right? And I have the fabric. So I have to iron the fabric. Okay, so first we're gonna trace and cut the back because the back doesn't have anything special, right? Unless you want to embroider on the back as well, but I'm doing only the front. Okay, and then the front, that's my pattern, right? But one I need double because we're gonna work on the collar here, right? So I went ahead and copied it, right? I traced and made this one. We have to cut the fabric open. And the other thing we have to do is to not cut it. We have to cut it, but we're not gonna cut it, okay? So basically what it is I'm just gonna trace it. And in fact, I have to remove the seam allowance here because we're not gonna use seam allowance on the collar because we're gonna embroider on the collar, right? And we trace it, but we don't cut it. We just have the trace here, okay? And voila, look, I just traced it. I use the water-soluble pencil for that because I don't need this to be here forever, right? Imagine if I use chalk or anything, I was scared because this is gonna be cutwork. And now I'm gonna transfer, so I'm gonna cut all the designs and transfer here, and then we go and embroider on the piece. All right, so I have the thread I'm gonna use rayon thread because it's softer. I like when I do my clothing and stuff, I use rayon. And I have this yarn that it's to secure the edges. It's a Richelieu method and I like to use it, okay? Because we have to secure the edges, otherwise it just frays, you know, it falls apart. So the first thing is to place straight stitch. And remember, this is the collar line. That's why I didn't cut. All the edges because this is gonna be cut. So, and then after that I'm gonna place the yarn. If you do hand embroidery, you know how that goes. It's cutwork embroidery, right? I actually teach that in my course that's available in my membership. You can find the link in the comments and in the description. Okay, so now I go over it. And you can do that without the yarn, but it's especially because this linen that's like the weave is not really closed. I like to do the yarn. Okay, now here with zigzag, I'm gonna apply the yarn. And I'm gonna do the whole length of this, then I gotta move to the hoop to the other side, and then we start embroidering the piece, the fruits. And you know, this could be flowers or anything, right? And look, I did it. I also zigzagged the edge already. So this is the edge that's not gonna have any motif, right? Just the color, really. And I'm gonna start the embroidery. So I have green. I go color by color. This is the apple. I did make a mistake here. That this was supposed to be, here it was supposed to be green, but I covered with white, but that's okay. I'll just go over it. See, here it's gonna have to be doubled stitch. It's okay. And then on the edge that's gonna be cut, I double the zigzag on the edge a little bit to secure the edges. All right, now moving on to the next green. And so I'm gonna do the apple and then we'll move to the other side of the hoop. And look, I did most of the fruits. I just have the orange and the apple left. And one thing I did, which is a classic me, I forgot to do the green here. So I'm gonna do the apple, this leaf that's green, and then the orange. Then we can move on to make the tank top. And look at it, it's done. Okay, so this is the collar, the front, right? Now I have to trim here, cut it really close, and then I can add the fronts to the back and I have a tank top. So I'll show you the result in a little bit. And voila! Look, how do you like it? It's a little loose on me, but I like loose clothes and I feel like if I can wear with like tuck it in, right? So sweet. And you know, you can do any design here, make like some fun things, embroider the whole thing. That's it. So I hope you liked it. I hope that was inspiring for you and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.